Okay, hello and welcome to Christian Leadership. Let's start. Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. So we were looking at passing the baton, right? Raising up the next generation when it comes to leaders, and how we need to, pass on um, the the vision, the plans, purposes, everything. How we need to pass on to the next generation. So the thing is to the reason for that is that you know success in ministry, like we said, it is incomplete. It is not full unless we raise up people who will continue with the success, who will run, right, who will finish the race, right, until the Lord comes, right. So the thing is, if we don't do that, then our work will stop. Whatever hard work we have done, whatever. Okay, sorry, one second. Whatever hard work we have done, whatever we have asked people, asked God to do in our lives, and He has revealed a revelation, everything that we have sown and done through a lifetime, that gets completely buried with us, right? So we need to allow God to show us the people. We need to allow God to raise up people, and then it cannot happen, like we said, it cannot happen immediately, right? It cannot happen in a day. You can't just one day decide, say, okay, I can't do this anymore, I'm too old, or I'm retiring, I'm too weak, and then expect somebody to take the reins and then lead, right? We cannot, right? It has to be through life. It has to start early. And just like how Paul did with Timothy, or Paul did with Titus and the rest of the team, it has to start early, so that uh, people can be raised up, people can be trained, envisioned, to finally take on the baton and run with it, right? So that is something that we need to. So the thing that we need to understand is that uh, we need to raise up. It's a practical consideration, is to raise up at least 2 generations. Okay. What is a generation? Probably about 70, 80 years, right? So next generation and the next, right? So that age is the age group, or the age range is what we are raising up, right? Which means that they're doing something to impact, right? Doing something to influence that age range, right? So that they can be raised up. 2 generations, right? Okay. So let's look at uh, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, where he says, "You therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Jesus, and the things that you have heard from me, from many witnesses, commit these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." Okay, so Paul is actually, he has already raised up Timothy, right, who is much younger than him, right? When he met him, he must have been probably in his teens. He is raised up, and Timothy is now continuing the work in Ephesus. He's a pastor there. And so he's writing to Timothy, and he's saying, you do the same thing, right? He's saying, the things you have heard from me, from many witnesses, commit these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also, right? Commit these to faithful men, people who are of character, who have commitment, and who have the ability to teach others also, right? So this is an instruction that Paul gives Timothy, right? Lastly, when in this section, that what we look at is that, as we think of organizing, as we think of planning, you know, we think in terms of organization, right? We think in terms of ministry planning. We can also think and plan our life, right? We're talking about years, right? So sometimes we think, okay, we don't know what 10 years from now, we don't know what we are doing, where will we be? That is our usual, line of thinking, right? I don't know what God has in store for me, right? But what if we plan? What if we pray? What if we ask God, God, what have you in store for me, right? What is that season of life going to be? I'm going to be this many years old, and I would have journeyed on. And so, Lord, in that season, what do you have in store for me? What should I go after? What should I pursue? What should I be doing? Right now, we may not know all the specifics of it, but we can plan. We can pray. We can, like we said, every planning we need to involve God in the process, right? Um, so that verse that we saw, right, in Isaiah. Now, this is a slightly different verse where he's saying, verse 9, 46 and verse 9, remember the former things of old. It seems like a direct contradiction, right? But here it is talking about what he has taught, what he has actually placed in our hearts, right? For I am God and there is no other. So he's about himself, whatever the Lord has revealed, whatever the Lord has taught, saying, I am God and there is no other. I am God, for there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, right? He is declaring the end from the beginning. So he's omniscient God. He knows everything. He knows the end from the beginning. And from ancient times, things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure, right? So we can actually plan and ask God, okay, God, I am whatever, 20 years old or 25 years old, whatever your age is, say, okay, God, now from here on till the remainder of my life, remainder of my life, whatever years that I have, God, so how can I plan it? What do you want me to do, right? Um, so the Lord works in our lives in seasons, like we said. There's a season to grow, there's a season to get trained, there's a season to be commissioned, and practically also, if you see, there's a season to be a student, there's a maybe season to be a working professional, or there's a season where we are, maybe married, or and there's a season where we are parenting, and even in parenting, we are raising up little children, and we are raising up teenagers, and so on, right? So God works, we go through seasons, right, in our natural physical life also. So also God works in us in seasons. So we can ask the Lord, what is it that you want me to do? What is it that you want me to plan? And what is it that you want me to pray about, right? So just want to share with us, okay, in-person class, I'll share the document with you a little later, right? So um, this this is called a life plan, and some input on how we can work out a life plan, right? Um, what is your life calling? Okay, some of us are in the process of discovering it, right? Lord, what do you want to do? What do you want me to do with my life, right? Should I be an Instagram influencer, or what do you want me to do, right? Should I just keep on posting videos, this, that, or what is my life calling, Lord? What are you calling me to do, right? So we ask God, right? And based on that, we plan out different stages, right? We plan out different stages in our lives. Like, God, I had a very interesting dream a long time ago, and I believe it was a prophetic dream, in the sense that in that dream I was actually standing in a line. Yeah, let me just back up. Like many years back, we had just when we were actually starting to learn about the gifts of the Spirit, right? We had a church camp where that was the first time I remember we were actually, Pastor was teaching us about activating the gifts of the Spirit. Like before that, I don't think he's ever taught the church on that. So the first time that in a church camp, we were all gathering, and then we were discovering, oh, everybody can prophesy. The first time we were hearing, okay, I thought prophecy was for, for a few people. Everybody can hear God's voice, all that we were learning, right? So soon after that, we had a team from a different nation actually come and really minister in the prophetic. It just had happened like that. They came, they ministered in the prophetic, very strong in the prophetic. So we were all ministered to, and it was a push for the entire church to move into the supernatural, to move into the gifts of God. So it was, we kind of sensed that shift, and people moving into the prophetic, etc. Right. So um, then soon after that, I would say that I had a dream, and in this dream, I was standing in line, like how we were actually standing in line during that time. The team would come, and different people were standing in different places in the church, and there were different lines going, and to be prayed for, right? To be prayed for, to receive a prophetic word from God, word of knowledge, everything. So I remember I was also in one of those lines going. So this dream, I'm in this line, and I'm going towards to be prayed for, and there is a person there whom I recognized. Okay, this was a person. So I'm reaching the end of the line, and that person um, actually changes to another person, right? But he's also someone who moves in the prophetic, and he says this word. He says, "Do you realize that in your life everything happens in every 4 years?" Okay, and that was the end of the dream. I thought, what a strange dream. Everything happens in your life for 4 years, every 4 years. Okay. Then I was thinking, what should I do with this? And as I was praying, I thought, okay, let me just backtrack, reflect, and see whether that statement is true, right? And then I just backtrack from the time I was born again, from the time I joined the church and ministry and all that. Then I realized that that statement is true, right? Every 4 years there seems to be a shift, or in 4 year periods, or it could be 2 4 year periods, like 8 years or something. There's a shift, there's a change, something new, something different, and even the whole call of God and what was happening every 4 years, there was some kind of a thing. So I said, okay, God, there seems to be some truth to this, right? So okay, then I said, okay, let me just plan out. Let me just think and see, okay, God, what plans do you have now? So uh, in 4 year terms, right? Planning out. So, for me, that was it, right? But for different people, it could be different. It could be 10 years. Like I remember someone saying, okay, every 5 years, I see there's a shift, there is a change, right? Or every 10 years, right? So whatever be that, we can actually take, let's say 5 years, let's say 10 years. We can plan and say, okay, this is my age now. Lord, these 5 years, okay, what is it that you want? This 5 year stages, right? So you break it down. How long do you want to live? Let's say 100. Okay. Just put a number there and say, okay, God, from now on till I reach 100, what do I do in that stage, right? Maybe I'm 24 now, 25 now, 30 now, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. But in that time frame, in that period, what do you want me to do, right? What should be my pursuit, right? What do I plan? What do I pursue? Now, it can be things like education. It can be about, for example, okay, I'm sharing this with the in-person class, but 3 columns: stage, plan, and pursuits, right? Stage, that is the growth, the years, right? The time period we're talking about. Okay, this is the stage. Oh, maybe I should just. None of you have your phones, right? Okay. Um, okay, the stage. So we're talking about 5 year periods: 30, 35, or 35 to 40, 45 to 50, right? The next one is the plan. Okay, so in this age range or time period, what is the overall plan, right? What is the main focus of that period, right? For example, it could be just equipping, it could be just growing, learning, right? Um, or it could be the initial stage of starting the work of ministry, right? Whatever it is, so we can write that down. That is the broad thing. Okay, this is what I need to do. And the pursuit, that is the third column. So stage, plan, pursuit. The third column, we can actually divide it into several areas. So what is a pursuit? This is what we are saying, okay, this is a goal that what we are going to pursue. Okay, so we can have different areas like spiritual life, personal life, family, children, finances, professional, ministry. Right? We can divide it, what applies for us. Right? And in that, further, we can write down, okay, God, I want this to be I want to pursue this. Okay, with regard to finances, just pray and ask, Lord, right, so certain big decisions like maybe buying a vehicle or maybe buying land or buying a house. God, uh, I want this. I pray about it and I see that it's a good thing. I want to go after this. Spiritually, also the same thing, right? Ministry, the same thing. Okay, God, in this time frame, I want to be able to start the work, right, of ministry, start the church, or start the work of ministry, whatever you've called me to do. Maybe join some place and do it, or whatever it is. Lord, I want to start that work. And the initial stage, we saw, okay, when it comes to planting a church, there are that initial stages that we go through, like the introductory stage, the foundation stage, and the growth stage, and so on. And so we say, Lord, let this be that the first year of that, or the first 2 years of that, is going to be that introduction stage, right? So we plan that out, we pursue it. So we do it prayerfully, and so we can do it for years ahead, right? So we are listening to God, we're praying, hearing His voice, seeing a sense of, okay, it's a good thing, and we put it down, right? At the same time, we are giving God the permission to change it, right? We're saying, God, you have the full freedom to rearrange, change it. But Lord, you put that thought in my heart, right? You give me that conviction, you give me that assurance, you have full permission to change it. So it's like a timeline of our lives, and we break it down into stages. And each stage, we are saying, okay, this is the focus area, this is the plan for this stage. And we are further breaking down into different areas in our lives, and we're saying, I want to pursue this. Okay, so I'll share this, and you can go through this. In fact, there is a sermon series also on this. I'll share that content also, right? Okay, so that's about our life plan. And it's a good thing that we can plan things out, and so that we can pursue it, right? We can prayerfully pursue it. It's not like saying, okay, I'm assuming things. No, we are prayerfully pursuing, and we're giving God the freedom to change it, right? Freedom to surprise us, freedom to change things in our lives. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to the next section in our notes, which is winning with people. Like we saw the first section, right? Leading through time. That was the first section. The second section is winning with people. Okay, so yeah. So when we look at this, I just want to ask us some questions. Okay, if it is true, you put true. If it is false, you put false. Okay, I'm just going to ask some questions, right? So you just write it down. If you have a pen, you can just write it down. Okay. Okay, let's say this is a free day. Okay, what would you rather do? Meet someone or spend time alone? Free day. Okay, tomorrow is a holiday. What would you do? Would you rather meet with people or you spend time alone? Okay, if you're meeting with people, say, sorry, don't put true or false. Just say if you're meeting with people, put 1. If you're not meeting with people, just put 0. Right? I want to be alone. You got it? Okay. When it comes to people things, you put 1. Or if it's not people, task kind of a thing, put 0. Okay. Done? Okay. Second question. Suppose you want to celebrate something. Do you like to do with your friends and crowd of people, or do you like to go alone? Celebrating. Birthday, anniversary, birthdays, celebration. Do you like to do it alone, or do you want to do it with friends? Okay. If it's with people, if it's with friends, put 1. If it's not, put 0. Second question. Okay. Third one. Okay. When you enter the room, it's full of people. Okay. Do you feel excited or do you feel fear? If it's excitement, put 1. If it is apprehension, oh, people are there, put 0. Yeah. Okay. Um, what else can we ask? Okay. Here are some more statements like, do you enjoy conversations with people whom you don't know? If it's yes, put 1. If it's not, put 0. Okay. Conversations with strangers we're talking about. Okay. Then another question is, okay, you're meeting someone. Do you find it easy to have a conversation just about random things? Talking about the weather, talking about food. Do you find it easy to have small talk? Um, if it's yes, put 1. If it is no, put 0. Okay, small talk conversation, right? Okay. What comes naturally to you, speaking or listening? If it is speaking, put 1. If it's listening, put 0. Okay. What comes naturally to you? Do you? Okay, some it maybe Alita saying, okay, it's a mix of both, right? But it's okay for this particular exercise. We'll just put 1 and 0. Okay, we won't put any other thing. Okay, after meeting with people, let's say maybe on a Sunday, do you feel energized or do you feel drained? Feel like, oh, my battery is gone. I need to go charge. Okay, if you're feeling energized, put 1. If you're feeling drained, put 0. Okay. 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 How many questions did we ask? Actually, I forgot. Huh? 7, is it? Okay, okay. Okay, let's do some more. Um yeah, I think 7 is good. 7 is a good biblical number, no? Okay. So yeah. So okay, how many of you got 7 on 7? Online class also you can put it on the chat. How many of you got 7 on 7? Okay, how many of you got 6? How many of you got 5? 5, okay. Some hands, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. 4. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, 0. So it doesn't mean that 7 is a great score, a 0 is it's just an indicator. Okay, so no one is like, if you got 0, it doesn't mean that you failed. Okay. Okay, online class also, I guess you would have done that, right? So you know your score. Okay, so um, the one who got once you got a higher score, it just means that, or even something like 3 or 4, 5, it just means that you're comfortable with people, right? And the others, maybe you're comfortable with machines, right? You're really comfortable with technology, or you prefer to work on your own, right? You prefer to maybe write things, you prefer to process things on your own, right? um, and this section is about winning with people. So you know where we are going, right, with this. So the thing is that when it comes to leadership, when it comes to ministry, it is about people, right? It is with people, it is about people to some degrees. For some, it is like interacting with people all the time, and some it is like, but we cannot rule away people, right? Because the Great Commission is about people, right? So maybe we are indirectly interacting with people, right? In the sense, okay, you might make some great content, right? You might write some article. You're not interacting with people, but then directly, right? You're writing something. Maybe you're writing an article, you're writing a book, maybe you're you know composing a song. But what is the end result? What is it for? Who is it for? Right? You're making sure that, okay, this reaches someone, some other human being, so that they are encouraged, they get they get inspired, so that they receive what God has told you. Maybe it's a teaching, maybe it's a word of encouragement. Whatever it is directed indirectly. People are receiving it, people are consuming it, right? So you are ministering, you are leading, you are indirectly impacting people. So we see that in ministry, directly we will be dealing with people, or indirectly with people. Whatever it could be that we might be feeling temperamentally, right? In other words, we might even say, okay, I'm an extroverted person. Who's an extroverted person? Extrovert. Huh? Who is an extrovert? Okay. Anyone in online class? Extrovert? Who is an extrovert? Huh?
Talking with everybody, sir.
Okay, those are some character.
Too expressive.
Yeah, there's a character trait of an extrovert. But if you strictly see who an extrovert is, right? So these are people who, yeah, socially they are outgoing, right? They meet people and they're talking as if they are long friends for a long time. Did you know that person? No. When did you meet him? Just now. And they're talking and talking and talking. So which means they're socially they are outgoing, right? They like meeting with people, talking with people. When they meet with people, they feel energized, right? And so they are focusing on, their social interaction and everything is external, right? Predominantly, okay. So they are not the ones who are very reflective and think about, okay, what is going on in my life. They are processing things as they speak. That is when they first they are thinking about it also as they're speaking it. Oh, they're processing things as they verbally voice it, right? They're not sitting and thinking about, okay, this is what is going on in my life. This is what they are predominantly, right? um Introvert. Who's an introvert? Huh?
Who doesn't talk much.
Yeah.
He's alone.
Yeah, so they prefer quietness, right? They want to be quiet. They might be thinking very philosophically. They might lot of ideas, right? So we have great people on both sides of this temperament, right? Either extroverted or introverted, and some are ambivert in the sense little bit of this, little bit of that, right? I can't be like this all the time. I can't be quiet also all the time. I need to be with people, but then after some time, I want to withdraw, get charged, right? And then I'm ready to meet with people, right? So we have a little bit of both, right? And temperamentally, human people who study human behavior say that we all fall in different categories, right? We could be 60% of this, 40% of this, 70% this, and some are strictly 100% this, 100% that, right? And so, whatever be our temperament, God calls us, right? So God doesn't. God actually He calls, He qualifies us, He empowers us, right? And the greatest example is Paul, Peter, right? He calls Peter and he sends him to the Jewish people. We might think, okay, maybe Paul should go to the Jews. He knows the scriptures, right? And maybe he should go to the Jews. Well, Peter is actually a fishing businessman. And of course, he spent time with the Lord and all that, but he doesn't know too much of scripture, Jewish scriptures. He's not very familiar with. Maybe he started learning. But then, as a human being, we would say, okay, send this guy there, send this person there. But the Lord calls Peter to go to the Jews. The Lord calls Paul and sends him to go to the Gentile world, the non-Jewish speaking world, right? Non-Jewish world, non-Hebrew speaking world. So he sends them there. So the thing is, the Lord calls irrespective of our temperament, right? We might think, okay, if I need to be a pastor, then I need to be talking all the time. I need to be meeting people, saying hello. No, definitely not, right? You might be a very quiet person. You might be a person who processes things internally. But the Lord will say, no, I want you to be a person who will nurture. I want to be a person who will nurture others, who will shepherd others, who will ground them in the word. Right? The Lord doesn't actually go by our reasoning of temperamentally, this is who I am, right? Maybe a quiet person, we might say, okay, this person is quiet, reflective, deep. He'll be the right teacher. No, the Lord may not temperamentally go by our physical temperament, right? So our natural, yes, God will use that. Our natural inclinations, our natural giftings, God will definitely use that. But we also know that the Lord does things differently. Okay. Having said that, we see that ministry, leadership, it's about people, right? Whether we like it or not, it's about people, right? And relationships, when it comes to people, it is parcel of what we do as ministers, what we do as leaders. So, when it comes to people skills are something that we can learn, right? Not everybody is born with it, but we can definitely learn, right? Not everybody has a natural talent, natural gifting, but we can learn, right? Like certain people are, when they are shy when it comes to meeting with people, right? But they grow, and they grow out of their shyness, right? um, like for me personally, was I like this, meeting out people, talking to people? No. Very shy person, right? I was not into meeting with people or talking to people. But you grow out of it, right? You get healed of certain traumas, maybe, what we're looking at the previous class, and then you change, right? So that is the thing. So it's not how you're born with, or how you are, certain skills that you have. We can always grow, and grow in our understanding of people, grow in our relationship with people, and grow in our what we call as relationship skills, right? We can definitely grow in that. So because leadership is about people, we cannot lead people in a vacuum. We need to, we need to interact with people. It is about people. We need to mingle with people and all that. So this especially, the Lord says this in Matthew 22: you shall love your neighbor as yourself, right? Having said, you love your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength and everything, he said you love your neighbor, which means that there is this aspect of loving God, but equally there is this aspect of loving people, right? Which means you interact with people, and then you express your relationship with people, you express your love, and everything in your behavior with people. So we there is this whole thing of interaction with people, right? And the Lord says that this particular verse, or this particular truth, when the Pharisee asked this question, right? The lawyer asked the question saying, what is the great commandment in the Bible? Lord, what is important? What is the great commandment? So Lord says to love God, love people. So people are part of that, right? And Galatians 5:14 also reiterates that you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So loving God, loving people, equally important in the eyes of God. So which means we need to interact with people. Okay? So when it comes to interacting with people, or when it comes to winning with people, right? So that's the title of the book by John C. Maxwell. And a lot of this material is from that, winning with people, right? So how do we win with people? How do you interact? How do you get ready to relate to people, etc., is what we're going to look at firstly in this section, right? So yeah, let's just go forward in this. Getting ready to relate to others, okay? Getting ourselves ready to relate to others, okay? So because we see that relationship is essential, we cannot just be by ourselves. We might be comfortable being ourselves, but we can actually grow out of that comfort zone and grow in our skills, right? So here's an important or interesting statistics, right? They say that 15% of success comes from, this is about a work situation, like comes from job knowledge, right? 15% of success, you're very knowledgeable. The other 85% is our ability to connect with people and to transfer that knowledge, right? We might be very knowledgeable, but what do you do with it, right? We should be able to transfer it. We should be able to train others. We should be able to communicate that knowledge so that it becomes a reality, it becomes fruitful and effective, right? So just a interesting statistic there, right? So also when it comes to ministry, we work with people, we interact with people, we learn from people, like who are far more experienced, and we are mentored by people. We disciple others, right? So we do it in one-on-one, we do it in groups, maybe big groups, we disciple. So we see that ministry involves people, right? So here are some things that help us to relate to people. Okay, so I just want to make a difference here. We are not talking about pleasing people all the time, right? Paul says, I don't want to be a people pleaser. I'm a God pleaser. Right? If I'm pleasing people, then I compromise on truth, right? So I'm not here to please people, he says, at the risk of not pleasing God. So we're not talking about pleasing people, but we're talking about relating to people so that we can disciple, we can lead, right, others. Okay, so the first thing that really helps us in getting ready to relate to people is a principle. And now John C. Maxwell actually talks about this in his book, Winning with People. And a lot of that information is what we are looking through is from that, adapted from that. Okay, first thing, what he calls as a lens principle. Okay, you know, lens principle in the sense, I don't know if you had that experience. Like we used to have what is called as exhibition, right? Exhibition used to be in summer. You have all these rides, giant wheel, all these things are there. A lot of stalls are there, and they're selling many different things. And we go. Anyone been in a part of an exhibition? Down south we have that, right? So exhibition. So in the exhibition, they also sell these colored glasses, right? So you look at, we put the green color glass, everything looks green. You look at the red, we put the red colored glass, everything looks red, right? So everything looks the way the lens is colored, right? So in this lens principle, we look at, it's very closely related to who we are in Christ. What lens are we looking through when we look at others? What lens are we using, right? What lens are we using to see ourselves? Very important, right? So if we have a healthy self-image, then it really helps us in relating to people, right? So we should have a healthy self-image, right? Otherwise, it becomes a problem. The success of our relationship is rooted in our self-image, right? So you might say, okay, why? How should that be? Isn't it, why should the self-image that I have, why should that be a problem in relationship, right? Because the way we relate to ourselves has a bearing in the way we relate to others. Okay. In what way? Suppose you have a very poor image of ourselves. You have a poor image of yourself. Then you will do things to prove to others that you're actually, you're actually successful. For example, right? If you have a poor self-worth of yourself, we could do two things, right? We will constantly prove to others that we are successful. Inside, we're feeling like a failure, right? But when you're meeting with people, you want to show them that you're actually a success, right? So your conversations, you're trying to show them you're very knowledgeable. You're trying to tell them that, show them that you're very funny. You're trying to show them that you're very successful, right? And you're talking about this and that and the other. And you're constantly, showing yourself that way, right? So that is one response. That could be one way if we have a poor self-image. Or we would totally avoid people, right? So we would not relate. We would totally move away. Why? Because my lens, the way I look at people, it shows that they are always better than me. And the lens that I use, it shows me that I'm always, a failure compared to others. Right? So why should I be with people who are, always successful than me? Let me just stay away. Right? So we could do two of those things. If I'm with people, I do my best to put them down, or I do my best to show them that I'm a fantastic person, or I just completely avoid. So this is where, this lens principle. It is so true. What lens are we looking at ourselves? What lens are we looking at others? And the close thing is, um, second one is a mirror principle. Mirror means, how do I look at myself? Right? Being aware of our strength, being aware of our weakness, being aware of our motivation. This self-awareness is very important, for us to actually start relating to people. What is the self-awareness? Um, we need to have a realistic picture. Spiritually, we know that who we are in Christ is who we really are. At the same time, what are the areas that I need to grow? Right? I need to be self-aware. These are areas where I have a gap. These are areas where I'm falling short. Okay, so that is a mirror. When we look at a mirror, the mirror gives us a reflection, right? So, the psalmist prays this: "Search me, O God." 139, Psalm 139 and verse 23 says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." So he's saying, Lord, you search, you show me, you teach me, and lead me in the way everlasting, right? So, which means that we can involve God, love God, and ask God to show us, to teach us, so that we know the true condition of ourselves. Right? What are those areas that I need to change? So this will help us. This will have a realistic picture of ourselves, where we need to develop, where we need to change, and so it will help us in relating to people better. So this is a preparation that we do. We are saying that, okay, I don't have enough of skills relationally, and I want to be good at that. These two are very important. Like, third one is about pain, right? Um, so both those subjects are very closely interrelated. Inner wholeness, and also when it comes to leadership, it's closely related, right? Pain principle. Okay, so this is what happened. Okay, there was this person who went to a doctor, and he says, "Doctor, my this finger is hurting." Okay, or he said, "I'm hurting all over." I think you know that story, right? "I'm hurting all over. Everywhere there is pain." So doctor says, "Oh, where is it?" So, "Doctor, here I'm hurting. Here there is hurt. Here there is hurt." Doctor is stunned. "What is it?" "Here I'm hurting." Lord. He's pointing and he's saying, "Everywhere I'm hurting, hurting." Doctor checks him out. "Hey, there seems to be no problem." "No, but doctor, I'm hurting." Right. Then the doctor checks him out, and then he says, "Okay, there is one thing wrong with you. You have a broken finger." So everywhere he's touching, he's saying, "Doctor, this is hurting, this is hurting, this is hurting, this is hurting." But the actual thing that is broken, that is actually hurting, is his finger, right? So sometimes what happens is, um, people, there is a saying, hurt people, hurt people. Okay. Hurt people, hurt people. Hurting people, hurt people. People who are in pain hurt others, right? Because they can't tolerate the pain, right? They're not dealt with the pain. So they pass on that pain to others, right? Hurt people, hurt people. So sometimes we think, right? Oh, the person says, we meet some people and they have a problem with everybody. Everybody. If there is a human being who's breathing, alive, they have a problem. I have a problem with this person. I have a problem with that person. And so, you see it in their, maybe profession also. They say that this office is bad. This, organization is bad. So I'm moving. Okay, 1 year in that. Hey, this is bad. This is not working at all for me. I'm moving. Another year, move to that. So every year they are shifting. Why? This office is bad. This work culture is bad. This organization is bad. They keep shifting and they're not happy at all. And they're moving and their resume looks bad, right? Every 6 months or every 1 year, they are constantly changing. They're not satisfied. The thing is to look inside, saying, what is it? Why are you shifting? Are you shifting for the right reasons, or are you shifting for the wrong reasons? Have you dealt with yourself first? Right? Are you escaping pain? right, that you are feeling within? Are you escaping something that you've not fixed? For example, if there's the least amount of pressure as you're doing the work, you feel that, okay, everyone is against me, right? The boss asks you a question, why have you not done this work? I'm being persecuted, right? So I'm moving on, right? This is the wrong thing. How can they ask me, man, whether I've done my best? How can this person ask? So I'm moving, right? So the thing is to check, is it because you have a problem that is within that you've not fixed or you're not healed from, or maybe it's a hurt because of which it is not, it is coming out in that way. So you have a problem with everybody, right? So it's finding it difficult to relate to people, finding it difficult to get close to people. The minute you get close to people, you see something wrong in them, and then you want to avoid. Or it could be, I don't want to get close to people because they'll know that pain that I'm carrying. They know who I really am, so I don't want to get close. And so we're not able to relate to people at all, right? So this is something called the pain principle. Now that needs to be fixed, right? That needs to be sorted, right? It could be in different varying degrees, but it needs to be sorted. So when we heal, when we um, when we are healed from our hurts, then we will not pass on the hurt, or we will not alienate ourselves, right, from people. And this is a very important thing that we need to heal from, right? Um, okay, there are two more things, I think, but we'll stop here and we'll continue, right, our next class, right? Thank you. God bless.